Foreign Minister Abdulla Shahid, welcome to India once again. I hope we are being very hospitable to you as we usually are and as you are when we come to the Maldives.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here in Delhi.
When we talked in November 2018, soon after you assumed office and had come here on your first overseas visit, you had told us that you had come for an immediate budgetary assistance of about 250 to 350 million. About 14 months later, President Solih made his first overseas visit here. Prime Minister Modi made his second visit to Maldives, the first of his second tenure as well. Ministers have been coming and going from both sides. $1.4 billion is what you've got in total. That's an increase in your currency swap from 200 to 400 million, 800 million for development projects that you choose at a very concessional rate, which are already rolling out. And you have also the 50 million that was given as a grant, and then the 150 million that the State Bank of India is buying in treasury bonds. So a lot has changed, Minister, in the last 14 months or so.
The last 14 months have been outstanding. India-Maldives relationship has gone to a new level. As you rightly said, President Solih and Prime Minister Modi met several times. They also, when they both visited New York for the General Assembly, they met on the sidelines. More recently, they have jointly inaugurated some of the projects
By video conferencing?
Using technology. So the two countries have been brought much closer than they ever were. We are of course grateful for the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, his government, and also to the people of India for the generosity with which they have opened their hearts to the new government and the people of Maldives.
Minister Shahid, what is the current financial situation of the Maldives when we look at the external debt, which you were so worried about earlier? You were talking about how the finance ministry was still, or various ministries were trying to collate and finding numbers were not tallying. You have been able to come up with a position where the Maldives government has to fulfill its commitments. What exactly is your current external debt figure?
The Maldivian government will fulfill its obligations. What I have been saying to my friends here in India and elsewhere is that with friends such as this, we will be always doing well. The future looks bright. The Maldivian people are determined to carry on with the development projects. We have made huge strides in development. Of course, there were very unreasonable, irresponsible borrowing on the side of the previous government. We do not have a problem with any single country, but the problem the people of Maldives have is with the irresponsible manner in which the previous government has borrowed, the extent of corruption that has taken place. And yes, the new government has established a presidential commission through the parliament, and that commission is tasked with finding out where the money has gone, what were the essential means of corruption that has taken place. So the Presidential Commission of Assets Recovery will continue its work. But this government does not want to get bogged down on these matters. That is why independent commissions have been established. Government first priority is to continue with the development work.
The Ministry of Finance has been putting out figures, and of course the Majlis also requires a yearly debt program to be outlined in the parliament itself. But lots of people have been talking about how the debt to, say, China is possibly up to $3.2 billion. Is that what it is? Do we have a figure on how much the Maldives owes China?
The figure has been published in the Ministry of Finance website.
But it's in millions of rupiahs, so how much is that in dollars?
We simply have to divide it by 15.42 in order to get the dollars. But yes, we have got a definitive figure, and we will deal with it as time passes.
Are you worried at this stage? Because even your own Ministry of Finance in its report says that whether it's debt refinancing, interest rates, or forex fluctuations are a high risk in terms of how much how many your debt and your sovereign guarantees mature, say, till June 2020.
As I previously said, the irresponsible manner in which the previous government borrowed money is a serious issue. And any government, be it our government or any other government, who has the unfortunate task of dealing with this extent of corruption would be worried. But the confidence that I have is that this government, with friends that we have been able to connect with old friends like India, and we have been able to make new friends, we will be able to deal with it. And I'm sure that the countries which have lent these irresponsible loans themselves would be talking to us, and they are talking to us much more easily.
How did that go, the September meetings that you had in Beijing when you traveled there? Is there any move that the Chinese government is contemplating on trying to restructure the loans?
With the Chinese government, my visit, which was the first visit as foreign minister I made this time, I found in Beijing a lot of willingness to talk to us, to assist us in our developmental work. And it was good to be in Beijing. I was there in 2007 to open the embassy in my capacity as the then foreign minister. And Beijing, I must say, has helped the Maldivian people immensely in its socio-economic development. And we will continue to engage with Beijing. The openness with which we were able to discuss issues encouraged me. And the economic contribution that China is making in terms of the largest number of tourists coming to the Maldives is an important factor. And a number of Chinese companies are currently involved in construction work. The airport construction, the housing projects are being carried out. And I'm sure that the Chinese government find in the new government in Maldives a much more straight-talking, a much more friendlier,
open, transparent, not
yes.
under the table kind of
we
deals.
We have no interest in doing anything under the table. So I could say that the Chinese are much more comfortable with the new government than the previous one, because we say what we have in mind, and there is no hiding.
You were talking about the aid, and in fact, just on the 13th, President Solih and you, I think, were there as well when that ophthalmology facility was inaugurated with Chinese aid just a couple of days back.
Yesterday, in fact. Yesterday. I was here in Delhi, but President
Solih
inaugurated it. And once again, we saw that the Chinese government and the people contributing to the health sector of the Maldives. Mm-hmm. So there are many projects such as that.
With your vast experience, you were mentioning 2007 foreign minister twice, you were director in the foreign ministry, you've been a senior diplomat, a politician many times over, speaker of the Majlis as well. You're very diplomatic. But there seem to be two voices that also come out on this subject. We saw what ex-President Shahid, who is the current speaker of the Majlis, had to say when he was in India, when you were also here for the Joint Commission, in fact, when he was very blunt in saying that no soft landing unless there is a vision to contain what the situation that we've reached with China in terms of debt. And you had to issue statements soon after that. The Chinese ambassador in Maldives was again very blunt against ex-President Rashid. Are there two voices within the government, within the MDP? He's the leader of the MDP as well.
No, we don't have two voices. It's one voice.
It's not a bad cop, good cop kind of thing.
Not at all. Not at all. It's just, as you said, my task is to be a diplomat. maybe I don't express what I should in the manner in which a politician may express. No, we don't play good cop, bad cop, but we both express our concern in the manner in which borrowings have taken place. But being in government, I have every confidence that this government can deal with the loans that have been taken. And I'm saying it because, as I said earlier, we are not going to deal it by ourselves alone. I know that we have friends around who would be able to assist.
Including India?
Definitely India.
Or a major player would be India?
Definitely India.
When you come to the security cooperation that has been going on, especially how the whole position has been reversed since the previous government, President Yameen. Now you have the Coast Guard being given a ship. You already have 2 naval ships. The 2 helicopters that created a bit of a controversy are still doing their humanitarian work and helping save Maldivian lives. The joint military exercises, training, about 70% of the NDF is probably trained with Indian assistance. There's a naval commander unit that's also training you there. How far has that progressed? Is there anything else you need on that front?
Security cooperation between our 2 countries have been outstanding, except for the last 5 years when President Yameen tried to play our
India versus China.
Friends, India versus China.
And fell between the 2 stools.
Yes,
so as to
that
speak.
was a stupid policy he tried to execute. And the people of Maldives were the ultimate victims. There is no need to play or try to play one against the other. We could be friends with both. The outstanding security cooperation we have had, you have stated most of it. The 2 countries are safer. We are in the same neighborhood. A safe, secure, prosperous Indian Ocean is what would keep both our countries safe. Stability in the Indian Ocean is essential for the security of not only India, but also the Maldives. A stable and prosperous Maldives is essential, and a democratic Maldives is essential for the stability of Indian Ocean. So it's a close relationship between the regional countries and stability and prosperity in the Maldives. The Coast Guard ship, which was donated to us, is going to Kamyab, success.
Yeah.
In Hindi and also in Maldives, Kamyab is going to be an essential feature when we have to deal with non-state actors such as piracy and drug trafficking and other menaces in the Indian Ocean. The police academy that is being built is hopefully going to be completed and opened in July this year.
MNDF.
The MNDF training is ongoing. At any given time, we have more than several MNDF officers training here. The police training is ongoing as we speak, and the trust that has been re-established between our 2 countries on security cooperation is the success of the last 14 months.
The coastal surveillance radar system was supposed to be completed by the end of last year. I believe there's some logistical or building problems with water continuously seeping when they're trying to build towers. What's the position on that being completed?
During Minister Modi's visit last July, 2 of the facilities were inaugurated. The target is to make sure that we finish the remaining as soon as possible. It wasn't the voters seeking it. It was President Yameen's stupid policies seeking
Which have delayed it. There's another Dornier that was also promised. Why is that taking so long? Last time we talked, you were even mentioning that there are Maldivian pilots that can fly Dorniers, so it wouldn't be so much of a issue with the opposition, whatever there is in the Maldives, say, against the Indian helicopters on that front. Why is that taking so long?
The 2 helicopters that has been functioning in Maldives, as you mentioned, they are being used for humanitarian purposes. And the Dornier was requested by us by the previous governments, and it's almost reached the stage of finalization. I don't think it will take much more time, but it's going to add to our capacity of being able to surveillance the waters, which is so vast. We are in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it's only water that surrounds us.
In terms of religious extremism now, we've always heard, like you were saying, the previous government would never admit it. There was no transparency on what was really happening. There were a lot of talk of Maldives being the highest per capita provider for, say, Daesh or Islamic State and other extremist groups in Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, your government has become much more transparent on that. The police commissioner has come out and talked about maybe 1,400 extremists who are willing to kill in the Maldives. But the government has a wholesome kind of approach to counterterrorism or countering radicalization within the Maldives. It's not just by police or security forces only that you're trying to do that.
What we have seen in the Maldives is the same the other countries have seen, that extremism and radicalization and terrorism is not a special feature of any one single country. It is unfortunate that our previous government was in a state of denial. We have come out, we have stated the facts. The police commissioner has said that there are these individuals, and we have started dealing with it. You are right, it's going to take only a wholesome approach to make sure that we are able to resolve this issue. The extent to which some individuals have gone to travel to places like Syria with their families, little children, and their wives, and everyone. And many of the male have
been
killed. And
it's the same with Indians, and from a state which is very close to you, Kerala,
Indeed,
mostly.
Yes. And only the women and children are remaining. We are doing everything to work with our friendly countries to make sure that they could be repatriated. But that takes a lot of careful planning, because we do not have the required experience for rehabilitation and other functions that needs to be in place before such repatriation takes place. But we are working. We also need to continuously be alert on the front of education, on gender, and also keep a degree of alertness in the vast archipelago we have.
And various ministries have been doing that. Some preachers' licenses have been cancelled. Families which are not willing to give their children vaccinations because of so-called religious concerns, they are being worked on as well. So it's not just dealing with extremists who have gone abroad. You're trying to keep the whole factor away from the Maldives, or even outward, because there are fears that the Maldives, the uninhabited islands, could be used for another Mumbai-style attack, say in India, or we saw what happened in Sri Lanka.
Indeed, it is only a wholesome approach that will resolve. We also have in the past 14 months been able to increase our cooperation level with India, with Sri Lanka, the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia.
Japan, I think also.
Japan, yes. Many of these countries who have better expertise than the Maldives. So it's our desire to benefit from what they have gone through, their lessons, and also be part of the international network to counter radicalization. Many of the Arab countries as well are working with us, like the United Arab Emirates. I was in Morocco recently. We are trying to get training opportunities for our imams at Moroccan institutions of training. They have a very moderate stream of education of training imams. So both domestically and internationally, we have stepped our effort and hoping that things would go well.
Talking about radicalization, could you set the record straight on reports that suggested that a fugitive Muslim preacher, an Indian, who is currently now in Malaysia, Zakir, had sought asylum in the Maldives? Reports suggesting that, again, it was ex-President Shahid who said that. Would you be able to set the record straight on that? Did he ever try to?
As far as my knowledge, my information is that he has not. But even if he does, he will not get such asylum.
Going back to economic development, and you were pointing out again, and it's very evident, if India, China, and everybody else is coming to the Maldives, the importance of the strategic location that you are at. Earlier, there was talk of, say, transshipment, a port coming up. Is that still an idea, or is it moving forward? Because that could change the Maldives to make it a hub for international goods and traffic.
We are blessed to be in the middle of the Indian Ocean, right across the equator. So the ships that travel through the Indian Ocean finds in us a very convenient stop. A port facility, something that has always been talked about, is something that will benefit the Maldives greatly, but also benefit the shipping lines that have to travel. So it's always on the drawing board. It's something that we would like to have, but at the same time, we will have to be sensitive to maintain stability, security of the Indian Ocean. When we venture into such a project, we will make sure that it's purely business, commercial, and nothing to do with
military or strategic.
No,
but it hasn't moved forward, the business angle of
Not yet.
transshipment.
Not yet.
When you again look at India and the Maldives, I believe there are more projects that will be announced in future. We've seen what Prime Minister has done, the big ones, of course, the big ticket ones, but they are those ones which actually are benefiting the people on the ground that you've been talking about, like say even the LED street lamps in Malé, and I've been through the streets there, they will provide a lot of light. Are there more, the fishery processing units that were announced in Addu? Is there anything else on the cards?
When I return on the 20th or around the 20th, we will have new projects signed. These projects are also going to be related to Addu, and some of them will relate to the Addu tourism development, replenishment of the beach facilities and such smaller projects. But the target is to make sure that
and development also of
yes,
Addu.
Yes, and that Addu becomes a tourism hub as well, because it has the international airport.
And talking about U-turns of sort, from 2018 to 2019, Indian tourists have also gone up now. They're till August of last year, I think, they'd almost reached what the whole figure for 2018 is. So that's also refreshing news for both you and for Indians who would travel to the Maldives.
Well, today Indian tourists are our number two. Last year, the jump was 105%. So it's amazing. I think we have now 7 flights. Connected to Mali. So if there are more flights, more Indians are willing to come.
That reminds me, so the cargo ferry has started, but the passenger ferry still
No, cargo ferry is still not functioning.
Okay.
But it's on the plane.
And the passenger ferry may take a little longer because of infrastructure.
It's going to take a little longer. But connectivity is the key word. And the more flights, the more Indians would come. The more tourists will come. Currently, we have a limitation at the airport, which is preventing more flights coming in. Within the next 18 months or so, we'll be able to accommodate much more flights than.
Connectivity you're talking about, and nothing connects more in India than cricket. And we've seen President Solih is extremely involved in sports of all kinds. He's running along with the First Lady, of course. You yourself are interested, I think, in football and badminton.
Football and badminton, yes.
So India could probably help you a lot in badminton, because we are now challenging even the Chinese on that front as well.
We won the bid to host the 2023 Indian Ocean Island
Island
Games.
Games. And Seychelles helped you a lot on that, right?
Yes. And we are hoping to get our athletes trained in different countries so that it will be not a successful.
You've been winning medals.
Yes.
The fastest 100 meters as well.
Mr. Syed, he is the fastest man in South Asia today, and we are very proud of him. And the training opportunities here in India for our badminton teams and the other teams would be of great help.
The
stadium is now almost at the implementation stage. I'm hoping that within the next 3 to 4 months we could have the groundbreaking, and that is the infrastructure building. But the human resource development, coaching part is already continuing.
Yeah.
So we have the team being prepared, we have the stadium ready to be constructed.
And you will challenge the Indian cricket team soon.
Of course we will.
Minister Shahid, it's been an absolute pleasure again, and it's so over the last 15, 16 months how India and Maldives have got off the sticky wicket, is how we put it in cricket.
Yes.
Pleasure again talking to you, sir. Thank
My
you so
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure. All the best. Thank you.